So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to our fifth grade Gemstone plays. We have 6 wonderful performances for you today. We want to thank everybody who came out. We want to thank all the students for all their hard work. I know they worked really hard. Yesterday was our performance with the rest of the 5th grade and the 4th grade center. They did a phenomenal job. And I really want to recognize Ms. Phillips, Ms. McNeil, and Ms. Camacho for all their hard work. One of the things I always stress is with my staff is trying to create lasting memories. I still remember when I was in my 4th grade and was a Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. I have nightmares about that, but in all seriousness, it's the only time I've ever sang, and you're lucky for that. But the kids really have worked incredibly hard between making the, writing the performances, creating the costumes, the sets, figuring out all the little details, and creating all of this from scratch. So let's give them a huge round of applause for all their hard work. And before I turn it over, I did want to recognize a few other people. We have Ms. Meredith Casper, the Director of Accelerated Rich Instruction, with us today. I know her first name, but we have Ms. Antoine and Ms. Deidre Blake, 2 of the instructional specialists, also from the Accelerated Rich office. They have been supporting our program and our staff, and indirectly your students, throughout this entire year. So we really appreciate them making the journey out here to watch these Gemstone performances, and I think you'll be really impressed. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over to our first act, our first show, and enjoy.
Good morning and welcome to our Gemstone play performances. Today you will hear the stories of some young people who lived through some amazing periods of United States history and bravely changed the world for the better. Enjoy.
Life working in a textile mill during the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s was tough, and Harry Hansen would know. After machines were introduced to the United States that could replace human labor, there was no turning back. From sewing to travel, these tools were the new way to get things done. People were hired to work the machines, but those jobs weren't always safe. Harriet Hansen started working at the mills when she was just 10 years old.
After her father passed away when she was 6, Harriet's mother had trouble keeping the funds to care for Harriet and her 3 brothers. To get extra money to help support the family, Harriet took a job at the local textile mills. Her mother was earning meager wages working as a housekeeper in the boarding houses owned by the mills where the young female workers slept. Many mill girls living in such houses were from rural New England towns, sent by their families in hope of finding work in more urban industrial areas.
Hello, my name is Harriet Hansen. My mother lives here and you said I could too. Where should I go to begin?
How old are you?
10.
Perfect. You'll be a cloth maker. You'll be in charge of replacing full cloths on the father's running shoes. You'll be paid $2 per week. You'll be given a bed in the boarding house. Work starts promptly at 5 a.m. Just go now. You can start work right away. I'll show you where the work is.
Many girls worked in the mills along with Harriet. Child labor was popular with factory owners because children were willing to work for less money for the same work, and owners didn't think the kids would rebel against the unfair conditions. Many families depended on their daughters to bring home money every week. The girls started work as young as 9 years old, and work was harsh. The girls worked 13 to 14 hours a day, 9 months a year. The other 3 months they had to attend school. Harriet and the other daughters were lucky. They only had to work 15 minutes per hour. The girls only got 15 minutes to eat their breakfast and 30 minutes to eat their lunch. The stifling heat and lack of fresh air caused many of the girls to fall ill. They had to go to work just the same. The machines never stopped working, even when the exhausted girls did.
Ow! I hate these factories!
Tisk, tisk. You'll have to pin up your hair so you don't end up like her. Now get to work.
Here, I'll help you with that. I'm Helen, by the way. You better
you aren't careful, you could get your fingers caught, or your hair.
Why, wouldn't that hurt?
Oh yes, even if you cut up a couple of fingers, the foreman would just yell at you to get back to work.
Why do you want to work here anyway?
Yeah, this is terrible.
What's so bad about it?
Well, for starters, the foreman would shut the windows every morning, making the room really hot. And then, because cotton gets tasted in the dry air, you spray water on it, making the room very humid. So humid, it can cause lung problems.
And work starts at 5 a.m. That is way too early for girls like us.
They also give us perfume and require us to regularly attend Catholic church. And I'm Presbyterian.
They basically control our lives. Also, these machines are really dangerous.
What did you say? It's hard to hear with the roar of the machines. It's making me deaf. Anyway, we should stop. It's hard to talk without the foreman catching you.
Less talking, more working.
Harriet and the rest of the mill girls have been working hard. But the factories are now planning to cut their pay even further and raise the fees the girls have to pay to sleep in the boarding houses. The girls are less than pleased with this new proposition, so they begin to discuss the idea of turning out or going on strike.
How can they do this to us? My family barely scrapes by as it is. They rely on my income to buy food and pay rent.
We'll be paid less to sit in these terribly hot rooms all day.
Maybe if we turned out, owners would give us safer conditions and better pay.
Let's spread the word. I'm sure the girls would love to hear about it. Mary, can you think through an article about it in the local offerings?
I'll do what I can.
What's the low offer?
Don't you know? It's a literary paper that we, nobles, publish. Write stories, poems, about unions. Anyone can contribute, even you.
Could I? I really would want to rescue you a live newspaper.
If you want to. I don't see why not.
Yay! And what was this about turning out?
We're going on strike to turn the staff conditions and the new salary. The foreman has no workers. He'll have to do something.
Or he could just replace us. Ow! I should believe Grace.
Harriet contributed to the global offering by writing articles about women's rights, the abolition of slavery, poems, and short stories. It was her only joy she found to help her cope with the harsh mill life.
The day of the strike finally arrived in October of 1836. The strike began as planned. The older girls left their machines and poured out onto the street. They chanted and sang songs to show their displeasure.
Morning bells I hate to hear, ringing softly loud and clear.
But the girls in Harriet's workroom weren't as quick to leave their posts. They were scared about what might happen if they were fired, which is a very serious threat to them.
Should we turn out? Would you?
I don't think we should. They might fire us, and then where would we be? Are we going or not?
I don't think so. It's too dangerous.
I agree. If we do, they may replace us, and then we won't have any income to help our families. I don't care what you do. I'm turning out whether anyone else does or not.
And Harriet did just that. Soon the other girls were following her out, and the strike continued. They sang and marched around for the rest of the day.
Oh, isn't it a pity such a pretty girl as I should be sent to a factory to pine away and die? But I cannot be a slave. I will not be a slave. For I'm so fond of liberty, I cannot be a slave.
Thanks to Harriet, many more girls joined the strike than were planning to. Although the results of this particular strike were next to nothing, the strike led to later strikes that helped change the mills for the better. However, participating in the strike had negative consequences for Harriet and her family. The foreman turned Harriet's mother away from her boarding house, leaving her without a job. The mill girls later formed a union to show their displeasure, and the factory owners finally listened to their demands.
Harriet never stopped trying to change the world. She and her husband, a newspaper editor, persuaded people to fight against slavery. She was also a writer and wrote an autobiography about her life and time in the mills, titled Loom and Spindle. Then, in 1882, she was one of the first women to testify in favor of women voting before Congress. Harriet Hansen died of natural causes on December 22, 1911, at the age of 86. Thanks to Harriet, factory conditions improved and factory girls gained the courage to protest their unfair treatment.
For a great part of the 20th century, American foreign policy focused heavily on containing the spread of communist ideology. In 1961, the United States became involved in the Civil War in the South Pacific country of Vietnam. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy sent troops to help the South Vietnamese Army defend itself against the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong, a militia of guerrilla fighters who supported the unification of the North and South Vietnam under communist rule.
While most Americans initially supported American military presence in Vietnam, as time went on, many citizens became involved in the anti-Vietnam War movement, especially young people. After Kennedy's assassination in 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson took over the presidency. Unfortunately for Johnson, the number of people all across America who hated the war grew. They believed it was unnecessary and weren't afraid to say so. There was a mandatory draft. The draft meant the government could randomly select almost any man, 18 and older, to enter the military and be sent to fight in Vietnam. Since the war was so widely unpopular, the draft was even more controversial. This is the story of a brave young man named John Tinker from Des Moines, Iowa, who, in 1965, decided to stand up for the rights of the people in his country.
Breaking news! More Vietnam War protests. As wars of communism in Southern Asia intensified, so does the controversy. Should 18-year-olds be drafted into the war? Should there even be a draft? Some people even doubt the necessity of the war. We now bring you live footage from a protest in Chicago.
Make peace, not war. 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 Make peace, not war.
I wish I could do something about this war. It's really not fair. Everybody knows that I dislike war, but people like some sort of play. Just because I hate war doesn't mean that I'm evil, not patriotic.
I know, son. It's complicated. People on one side and people on the other, even though they're on the same side. Very complicated. The truth is, we need to do something about this. Say, I heard your friends were planning to do something about the war. To protest?
Yeah, they were going to wear armbands to school tomorrow to show their support for ending the war. I could go borrow some from a friend for me and marry them.
Great idea. Yeah, look like in trouble. When is that ever stop? Don't mind the problem here. Joking, but I agree. You must value human life for the war. And we'll support you even if you don't.
Thanks, Mom. Come on, Mary Beth, let's go make a plan to get our armbands.
After his expulsion, John Tinker decided to sue the Des Moines school system. In April of 1966, the case went to court. John believed that his right to free speech was taken away when his principal refused to let him wear the armband, which was a symbol of his feelings about the war. The judge ruled that schools could ban armbands if they wanted to.
John and his lawyers appealed the case and had another trial, which ended in a 4-4 tie. They then made an appeal for a hearing with the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1968, his case made it to the highest court in the land. Defending Tinker's argument was lawyer Dan Johnston. In this final scene, you will see what happens and how history was made.
The prosecution may state its side of the argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. It has come to our awareness that John Tinker and his fellow classmates were peacefully protesting the controversial topic of the Vietnam War. Under the First Amendment, students are able to speak or display his or her thoughts. Tinker should be allowed to protest his speech or show his opinion by wearing an armband. We want fair compensation and that Tinker and his classmates be able to return to school and exercise their First Amendment rights without being expelled. Thank you, Your Honor.
Now the defense may state its side of the argument. Thank you, Your Honor. The Des Moines County Public School System believes Tinker was distracting other students with his inappropriate armbands. The other students were not able to perform their best. And under the 14th Amendment, all people are entitled to a fair education. Tinker was taking this away from his fellow classmates. Thank you, Your Honor. In the case of John Tinker versus the Des Moines, Iowa school system, the court rules in favor of John Tinker with a supermajority of 7-2. He believes that John Tinker is not obstructing the 14th Amendment rights of his fellow students, and that, in fact, his First Amendment rights were obscured by the school system. John Tinker has won.
And so this concludes our play, but this story is not important just because one student fought injustice. This ruling by the court meant that all students who want to protest can protest peacefully, the law that protects students today. Students may make petitions, wear armbands, and speak out for what they believe. John Tinker is a hero to those who know that when there is an injustice, something can be done, no matter what age you are.
Sacagawea was born during May 1788. She was a Native American in the Shoshone tribe. Sacagawea lived happily with her tribe for 10 years.
But when Sacagawea was 10, her tribe was attacked by Hidatsa raiders. Sacagawea became a worker for the enemy tribe and soon was sold into slavery in a French-Canadian port.
One day, Sacagawea was told an abusive, lazy man had won her in a card game. His name was Toussaint Charbonneau. They were married and lived together for years. But then one day, two men showed up at the fort to find volunteers to help them explore the West. Their names were Meriwether Lewis and William Clark.
Charbonneau took Sacagawea to Lewis and Clark's forts to discuss the journey. Our story begins with Sacagawea, and Charbonneau and the explorers are with her inside the fort. Clark and Lewis describe the hazardous journey that the explorers would soon face.
We must travel by boat most of the way west, but the pay is high. It'll be the adventure of a lifetime.
You say the pay is high. How high is it exactly?
Hundreds of dollars for just a few months of journey. Is that good or what?
Well then, I'd like to join and I have a guide. Hey guy, usually.
She could come, I guess. She could be an interpreter and negotiate with people from other tribes.
Yes, I can tell the difference between facts from friendly tribes.
Wow. I told you, William, you can be helpful. And inquire on your name?
I am Sacagawea.
Janie, a name's like fine, not judging. Yeah, and since you're helping us, you do what we say at all times. And don't try to run off your Understood? Good, that's enough.
As soon as winter turned to spring, Lewis, Clark, Sacagawea, Charbonneau, and the expedition crew left on their journey west.
When the expedition crew left early in the spring of 1805, they wanted to get as far west as possible before the next winter. During that time, Sacagawea was carrying the newborn Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau, or Pomp, on her back the whole way.
Sacagawea found lots of food for the expedition crew. Sometimes she found enough food for the expedition crew for a whole meal. Other times she dug for roots for them to eat.
Sacagawea could indeed tell friendly moccasin prints from unfriendly ones and saved the travelers on several occasions. But one day, strong winds blew out of the water. The expedition crew knew it couldn't end well.
My map tools, my medical kit, my food.
Take care of my child. The bag is dangerous. It's a miracle. We're saved.
Thank you so much for saving us your lives. Yes, we make that case not for you.
After weeks of hiking, the expedition crew reaches unfamiliar land. But Sacagawea notices something very exciting.
This is my homeland.
Really? We're almost out of food. Hopefully we can find help.
Sacagawea's childhood friend, Jumping Fish, is wandering around in a meadow near the expedition camp. Sacagawea catches sight of Jumping Fish.
Jumping fish! Sacagawea! Anyone else survive the rain? My family, my brothers? You'll see. Let's go to our camp.
The expedition crew reaches the Shoshone village with Jumping Fish.
Sacagawea learns that one of her only family members who is still alive is her brother, Kamioe. He is now the chief of the tribe.
Kamioe!
Sacagawea!
Where's everyone else?
Fine. When you were captured, many people lost their lives. That's horrible. So we're almost out of food. Can we trade for some supplies to take on our journey? Yes. We have more than enough. This is little Canaan, so always to spare.
Thank you, but we'll sleep so we can finish the expedition before winter.
Well, we're almost at the coast. I can't wait to see the ocean.
Are we there yet? I can almost hear the waves.
I can almost hear them too, Janie.
Well, good for you. I couldn't care less. I should have never joined this stupid expedition in the first place. If we get up before starving to death, I'll take an extra $100.
Don't be that way. We'll set up camp soon.
Wait. That looks like it is the ocean. We're here.
We better set up fort and stay in the winter. We'll freeze to death if we stay out here any longer. I'm not helping with the fort. Janie, will you help me?
Yes, of course.
Lewis, Clark, Sacagawea, and the expedition crew set up a temporary fort to stay the winter, and everybody pitched in, except maybe Pomp. Charbonneau finally gave up sulking and decided to help.
Come on, everybody. Come see a whale that washed up on shore. Except Janie. She can't.
Why can't I? Because I'm a woman. Because of a slave. I guided you west.
No, that'll be.
Well, I'm still coming. See, I can't reach the coast. I'm going to reach the coast. Actually, I'm even coming.
She does deserve it. Janie helped us a lot along the way. Okay, then. I suppose you should come along with us.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to be on the coast and see the ocean.
Fort Clatsop was finished, and when spring came, the explorers gave the fort to the locals and left for the return journey. Sacagawea and the rest of the expedition crew had a safe journey back home, and yes, she got to see the whale.
Sacagawea decided to go back to Charbonneau instead of stay with her family in the Shoshone tribe. She had one more child, a girl named Lisette Charbonneau, but she did not survive infancy.
Sacagawea died December 22nd, 1812 at the age of 25, what is believed to be a deadly disease she had suffered from for years. William Clark officially adopted Pomp a few months after her death. Pomp later grew up to become a famous fur trader and explorer.
While Sacagawea sadly did die early, she is not forgotten. To this day, she is remembered in her legacy of exploration and empowerment for women. In 1859 by William H. Russell, Alexander Majors, and William B. Waddell. It was used to ship packages through the Midwest to the people on the Pacific Coast and back. William Cody is also known as Buffalo Bill and is the most famous Pony Express rider, who is the youngest, fastest, and most courageous rider ever. One day, young 14-year-old William Cody was working for a Kansas Freight Company when he saw a poster for the Pony Express.
There's a new job called the Pony Express. I must see it right away. This requires brave young folks like me.
So William went to the station to find the general manager, Mr. Slade.
I'll do. Mighty fine, sir. I want to join the Pony Express. Ain't you a bit too young for this? Age ain't no problem for me. I can handle anything you throw out. Anything. Let's see how you ride from Red Hills to St. Cross. 76 miles, so I'll see how you manage it. Sure thing. I'll be timing you. If you're fast enough for my standards, you'll get a job. Ready? Go. Whoa, look at him go!
Whoa. He's the fastest in the West.
Faster than the wind. Whoa, you almost beat the record time. Of course I'll let you have a job. It's been 2 months and I've had a lot of great time. I just can't live off the money they're giving me.
He was frustrated with the Pony Express and their payment rate.
What? You're telling me you want to quit? Yes, sir. Why? Is it because it's too dangerous and I don't pay? What? Sir, I'm sorry. I'm going to join the Gold Rush more profit. Oh, you've been 10 long months. I expect Colorado Indian Territory. I can't stand life anymore. I need to join the Pony Express.
Yes, William was really bored trying to get gold. He missed the excitement and wanted to join the Pony Express again.
I want to join.
My boy, you were too young for a Pony Express rider.
I rode 2 months last year on Go Trot Division. I filled Bill then, I think I'm better now.
Oh yeah, I remember. You're not keeping almost set the record for a cross out 76 miles. We'll let you get it right away. This one was winged it.
William was right. He was better than he was a year ago. He set the record time for that course.
Oh, the Indians are back. Shut down? Shutting down? When I came back a few months ago, I started to feel like old times, but then the Indians was crazy. I just can't handle this.
Well, we've been happy having you on the job. If you feel that you can't handle this, goodbye.
After 6 weeks, the Pony Express reopened, and a couple weeks later after that, the first telegraph came and messages were sent that way. But there was no company for packages, and Wells Fargo soon helped fix that. William quit the Pony Express after the conversation. After this, William became a scout for the Civil War, which did not only help the North win, but also got him a Medal of Honor. He became a well-known stage hunter and nicknamed himself Buffalo Bill. He was what most people said the best buffalo hunter in history and contributed to the critical endangerment of bison. He also started a Wild West show featuring Annie Oakley and Wild Bill Hickok, who also helped him along the Pony Express. He toured worldwide and became very famous. He died at a ripe age of 70 from kidney failure. The story begins in Savannah, Georgia. Susie King Taylor, age 13, is a slave who works on a small plantation. Even though laws in Georgia prevent slaves from becoming literate, Susie has an urge to learn. Every day, she and her brother carefully sneak away so they can learn how to read and write.
Come on, grab your books and let's go. But the books are so heavy. Why do we have to lug them around with us every single day? This is Hawthorne wants us to learn. You don't have to come with me if you don't want to. But I find these books fascinating. Frankly, I find school fascinating in general. So you come here or not, I don't want to be late. Fine, I'll come. Bye, Granny. I'll see you after school. Stay safe, Susie.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
We were just going to learn to plow fields. Yeah. Lawrence and Ned could teach us how. Very nice of them. Actually, we were just heading out.
All right then, but I'll be keeping an eye on you. Now shoot!
Is he going, Ned? The coast is clear. Let's go. Susie, Edward, you guys are early. Come and find me to see what we can access your ride.
Susie and her brother had managed to sneak out for years without being caught and learned to read pretty well. Eventually, their teacher ran out of things to teach them, and Susie got a tutor by the name of Katie O'Connor. All was well for a while, until
Granny, where is everyone going? Oh, wait. The Union Army has stopped reporting here and said that they will take us with them. We're skipping on a boat to the coastal village. We're trying to gather food. Do you remember my books? Of course. Now let's go.
it is now the year 1862. Susie is now 14 years old, and the Civil War is in full swing. Her family has joined the large group of slaves heading towards Fort Pulaski, a fort captured by the Union Army on the islands off the Georgia coast. The escapees would pile into crowded military boats and sail for days. They hoped that their lives with the Union Army would be better than their lives as slaves.
Have you read any good books? Oh, but you probably can't. Actually, I can read and write as well. Really? You should tell the captain that. He would be delighted. He's trying to start a school for escaped slaves to learn how to read and write. I think that's a wonderful idea. I've always thought that there was a great importance in education. I would love to give others the same benefits that I've appreciated. So can you tell me more about this school? Sure.
Susie began to teach at St. Simon's Island in a small cabin. He taught children during the day and adults at night. They were just as eager to learn as Susie herself had been when she was younger.
Okay, children, class dismissed. You may go play outside. I really do love to teach these kids. They're so eager to learn. I hope that this education helps them in future years. I only want the best for them, even though I might have to stop teaching them soon. I have some very important news. I should go find Granny and tell her.
Susie had wanted to remain teaching at the school for the rest of the war, but soon everything was changing, and Susie had to leave again. This time, though, she wasn't only leaving her home, she was leaving all of her family behind, too.
Oh, there you are, Granny. I've been looking for you. This is my new husband, Edward King. He's one of the Union soldiers. He's going to Fort Royal Island in South Carolina. I'd like to go with him. Are you sure, sweetie? You know I don't trust these soldiers. I'm worried about you. I know, Granny, but I'll be safe. There's almost nowhere more protected than a Union fort. All right, sweetie, but be careful. I don't want anything on you. I'll be okay, Granny. Bye.
Susie traveled to Fort Royal Island in South Carolina with her husband, Edward King, where she was employed as a laundress. However, her talents were needed elsewhere. Susie became a teacher again, this time teaching the Union soldiers how to read and write when they were off duty. She also became a postmistress, reading letters to the Union soldiers and helping them write replies. Above all, though, Susie became an amazing nurse. She was always calm and collected in the line of duty until one day when her skills were put to the test.
What happened?
The 54th Massachusetts Unit attack on Fort Wagner into April. So, do you think you could help with these injured soldiers?
Of course.
Susie worked night and day to tend to the wounded soldiers, hardly ever stopping to think about her own needs. She later said,
It is strange how we are able to see the most sickening sights, such as men with their limbs blown off and mangled by the deadly shells, without a shudder, and instead of turning away, how we hurry to assist in alleviating their pain, bind up their wounds, and press cold water to their parched lips with feelings of only sympathy.
after the war ended, Susie opened up a school for African American children. She charged people only $1 a month. This made an enormous difference in all of her students. She looked back on the war as the best years of her life. Susie died in 1912 at the age of 64. She dedicated her life to helping others learn and was an amazing person, inside and out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show. It is 1844, and Alan Jay is a 13-year-old Quaker that lives on non-slave farm. At this time, slaves are treated very badly. They were deprived of food and were beat as much as their master wanted. They were forced to work dawn to dusk under the blazing hot sun without any water despite the back-breaking work. This caused many slaves to run away north, where slavery was abolished. Slave catchers would come and try to recapture their runaway slaves. To help these poor slaves, people turned their houses into stopping points, or stations, where slaves could have a well-deserved hot meal and safely rest. Alan's father was one of those people. Because slave catchers were always searching the house because they had been invited in, Alan often hid in the secret room with the slaves for his safety. Because of this, Alan met many resilient slaves that were hardened by their tough lives. There was one in particular that he admired, and this is his story.
Philip, how good to see you. I haven't seen you in such a long time. What brings you to our humble abode at this ungodly hour?
Yes, good to see you too, Edmund, with your
forestry in the field. But he is not to tell me or anyone else.
Yes, Father, I'll do my best. I'll stand by the gate until wait for somebody to pass by. While I'm waiting, why don't we get some rest? Now I had a long day.
The J family was a Quaker family. Quakers were people who believed in peace over violence and never took part in any quarrels. The Quakers were very involved in the anti-slavery movement. All Quakers opposed slavery, and the Quakers' homes made up many of the Underground Railroad stations.
Who are you, young man? I am Mr. J's son. Just don't hurt me, please. I want to help thee, sir.
Name's Anthony. Who told you I was coming?
My father, sir. He told me to wait for somebody like thee and to hide him. I think the family physician just came by and asked him to help thee.
Okay. It's not gonna hurt you unless you turn me in. Now take me to his hiding place where the slave catcher stuff. I don't want you to hurt.
Okay, come this way. Okay, hide in this little crevice in the tree. Nobody can see it if they aren't looking for it, and that will be busy.
Thank you, young man. You're too kind. But if you could only spare me some water and some bread. My throat is parched. I haven't eaten since last week.
Of course, I will see what I can find in the tree. Of course, Mother, I will do just that.
Huh? Who is it? Friend or foe?
Friend, I am Alan J., the one who led thee here. I have returned with food.
Okay, drop what is in your hands and come into my field of view. Oh, okay. Could you get what you're carrying and bring it to me?
My mother made you a dinner and a jug of milk as well. Leave the basket under the tree when you're done eating. Stay safe, okay?
Thank you.
No problem. Just trying to help. I have heard of the slave fight in the South. I hope thou reach Canada safely. But for now, rest. Thou must be weary from being on the field. Goodbye. I will be back in the morning.
How are you? Have you seen a runaway Negro?
I know nothing of what thou speakest.
Have you seen a slave?
Pardon me, sir. I do not know about them.
Come on, have you seen a slave?
No, if you don't believe me, I welcome you to search our house, if that was proper warrant.
No, I'm not with the police. Plus, I don't have the time to get a warrant for every house down this old, dusty road. Plus, you're not working trouble good for nothing, Quaker. If you see a runaway Negro come by, tell the police. He should have ripped clothes and look hungry.
I'll be sure to report someone of authority if I see anybody like that coming down the road.
Okay.
Don't worry, Alan. We are safe. They didn't even check the fields nor the house.
That is a relief.
But I do have some bad news. Your grandfather is sick with influenza. Y'all should visit him, as it might alleviate his pain to see him. Also, if you know of anybody in need of a ride, feel free to take them along.
I'm gonna take the rugby stuff. That is horrible news, Father. What misfortune. But I will come, and I promise to bring anyone in need of a ride with me.
Influenza was and still is a very dangerous disease. There were no vaccines back then, so there was an even higher chance of dying from it. Some symptoms were a fever or feeling feverish or chills, coughing, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, muscle or body aches, headaches, and fatigue.
Don't be afraid. It's Alan from yesterday, remember? I'm going to take you to my grandfather's house. There, my uncle will help you to escape. How will we go? By horse-drawn buggy. Come on, let's go. Yeah! Be quiet. You must be hurt, huh? Sorry. It's my first time driving a buggy, and my uncle always does it, so I did it. It's a big nose here. Okay, let's just go.
As Alan and Anthony ride to grandfather's house, Anthony sees that Alan is scared of the pistol. So Anthony hands Alan the pistol and then says,
Here, have the gun. I see that you're scared of me. But if anyone comes to take me, you must give me the gun. I will get out and you will drive on because I don't want to be hurt. I will never be taken back there. They may be killed me, but I was headed to kill one of them first. I see that you disagree with killing. I think these will shape you. Why do you have those? Why were you whipped so hard? I passed out. It was 100 degrees out. We were working with no rest. I just fell and passed out. The next thing I knew, I was tied to the people with a gag in my mouth. Really? How come so many people be so cruel? That's the life of a slave. This is outrageous! I knew slavery was bad and that the conditions are bad, but the fact that they punished me because of that just infuriates me. I know it's sad, but that's why slavery should be abolished everywhere. Well, at least now I know what I'm fighting for, and I swear on my last breath that I will do everything I can to help end slavery. I think we're here. Okay, I want you to get acquainted with my uncle. He will bring you to the next stop of my journey.
Alan, it's so good to see you, and I see that thou hast brought thy escaped slave. What's thy name, son?
Name's Andrew. Thank you for volunteering to bring me home. I know it's not easy.
It's nothing really. I do it all the time. I'm bent on revolving slavery.
You do not know how much that means to me. How is grandfather? Is he...
He's just resting. Influenza is a very serious disease. He just needs some rest.
At least he's getting better. But we have to bring Anthony to Canada. When will that bring him?
I was thinking tonight, since it will be dark.
That is good. I'll never forget you, Alan. You saved my life, and I'm forever looking to you. No, thank thee. Thou hast taught me how bad slavery was. And now I know I will never look at slaves the same way again.
We must set off. Goodbye.
Goodbye to you too.
and just like that, Anthony was gone. Alan missed him, but he knew that Anthony would get to Canada and be free. About a year later, the Day family learned that Anthony had reached Canada safely and that he had a job as a reporter for a newspaper. Alan kept his promise to Anthony and became a Quaker leader who was a strong force for abolishing slavery. Alan also helped found Earlham College. Sadly, Alan J. died in 1910 at age 79.
thank all of you for coming and for supporting all of the students. I want to reiterate what Mr. Winter said. All of the plays were written by students, directed. They held auditions for the acting. They made all the costumes. They made all the sets. They figured out what sound effects to use. Everything was done by them, and we just kind of stood and tried to make sure everything was okay. So I really would like you to give them another big round of applause for all of